The opening drive couldn't have gone better. The Raiders marched right down the field with precision, and Geno Smith set the tone early, sharp with his throws, confident in his reads. The play calling was crisp, efficient, and balanced. Raider Nation watching from home thought for a moment that maybe, just maybe, this was going to be a smooth night. A touchdown right out of the gate, momentum in their corner. But football is never that simple, and the Patriots reminded everyone of that almost immediately. After that first touchdown, the Raiders' offense suddenly looked stuck in mud. The Patriots' front seven began dictating everything. Landry was attacking relentlessly, Christian Barmore was blowing up plays from the interior, and Keion White's speed off the edge was disrupting every attempt to establish rhythm. The Raiders' offensive line couldn't keep up. Penalties started to pile up. Missed assignments left gaps wide open, and the Patriots' disguised blitzes left Geno scrambling. Drives fizzled. Possessions ended before they really started. And the run game? It was non-existent. Ashton Gentry carried the ball 19 times for 38 yards, an ugly 2 yards per carry. But let's be clear, it wasn't on him. Most of those runs ended with defenders waiting in the backfield before he even had a chance to accelerate. There was no push, no lanes, no daylight. It was brutal to watch. And then, as if things weren't tough enough, the weather made sure both teams felt its impact. The pouring rain turned the field heavy, slick, unforgiving. Fans watching on television couldn't feel the weight of that ball slipping through fingers or the footing disappearing under cleats, but the players could. By halftime, the Raiders had just 7 points on the board. Daniel Carlson nearly tied the game with a monster 58-yard field goal, but in those conditions it was almost impossible. The kick fell short, and the Raiders jogged into the locker room down 10-7. That was the moment Raider Nation got nervous. We've seen this movie before. Hot start, mid-game collapse, no real adjustments, and by the fourth quarter it's a loss, disguised as a learning opportunity. But this game was different. This coaching staff, led by Pete Carroll, didn't panic. They adjusted. They made real halftime changes, something Raider fans haven't consistently seen from this franchise in years. And when the second half began, it felt like a switch flipped. The Raiders came out with fire, focus, and a plan. They scored 13 second-half points while holding the Patriots to just 3. That's the kind of adjustment championship teams make. Geno Smith was the heartbeat of this turnaround. His final numbers, 24 of 34 for 362 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception, tell part of the story. But the stat line doesn't capture the grit, the fearlessness, or the command he showed. Geno was aggressive, pushing the ball downfield, even when the pocket collapsed. He didn't play timid. He didn't play safe. He played to win. Early on, there were moments of hesitation, a bad interception that looked more like a forced gamble than a clean read. But once he settled in, he was locked in. He attacked every part of the field, deep balls, sideline throws, intermediate strikes, and every throw carried weight. Of course, Geno's weapons stepped up when it mattered most. Brock Bowers was sensational. 103 yards receiving, including a critical 38-yard grab on a beautifully designed play that completely swung the game's momentum. Trey Tucker's 2 catches were massive, one of them a 28-yard touchdown that electrified the sideline. Dante Thornton's 3rd and long catch late in the game was pure clutch. And Jack Beck, with his 23-yard reception on 3rd down, kept a drive alive when the Raiders desperately needed it. This offense isn't designed to nickel and dime opponents. It's built to strike with knockout punches, and every one of these playmakers landed their blows at the right moments. There was even a moment of panic when Bowers came up limping late in the game, clutching his leg. Raider Nation held its collective breath. Losing him would have been catastrophic. But after the game, the word was clear. No serious damage, no long-term concern. Bowers himself reassured everyone he was fine. That was music to Raider ears. Because this kid is already one of the most valuable pieces of the roster. Double him and others get open. Leave him one-on-one and he's a nightmare. His presence changes everything. Now the offensive line. Let's not sugarcoat it. The first half was ugly. Blitzes weren't picked up. Penalties were killers, and the run game was completely dead. Geno was running for his life on too many snaps. Jackson Powers-Johnson, DJ Glaze, and Dylan Parham all had their struggles, and a holding call on Glaze wiped out a critical drive. But credit where it's due. This is a young unit, still learning, still building chemistry. JPJ was moved from center to guard just weeks before the season started. Glaze is still adjusting to the speed of NFL pass rushers. It takes time, and in the second half, they cleaned it up. The protection got better, Geno had more time, and the offense found rhythm. That growth mid-game is promising. Defensively, it was also a tale of two halves. Early on, the Patriots moved the ball almost at will. 3 straight possessions where New England marched down the field had fans holding their breath. Luckily, the red zone defense stiffened, holding them to field goals and even forcing a miss. Still, the lack of pressure was concerning. The front four looked flat, Drake May had time, and the energy wasn't there. But Patrick Graham adjusted, brilliantly. He brought blitzes, shifted looks, and even moved Max Crosby inside to exploit matchups. That's when everything changed. Crosby, lined up against a rookie guard, created havoc. He pressured May repeatedly, and his hit on the rookie quarterback directly led to Isaiah Pola-Mao's interception, a defining moment in the game. The turnover flipped momentum, and suddenly, the Raiders' defense was the one in control. Malcolm Kunze deserves his flowers, too. His strip sack may not have resulted in a turnover, but it forced a punt and flipped field position. Plays like that don't always show up in the box score, but they win games. Tyree Wilson got credit for a sack, but let's be real. It was a cleanup sack. Crosby flushed May right into him. Wilson still has work to do as a consistent pass rusher, but as a run defender, he remains elite. The Raiders need him to elevate as a true complement to Crosby. And then there was Q Kelly. 9 tackles, sticky coverage, physical presence. He looked like a seasoned veteran, not someone who wasn't even on the roster when camp began. His emergence could raise the ceiling of this defense in ways no one expected. Every defense needs a breakout story, and Kelly might just be that for Las Vegas. When you zoom out, this game was full of little moments that stacked up. Pola-Mao's interception, Crosby's relentless pressure, Kuntz's strip sack, Thornton's clutch grab, Tucker's touchdown. None of them alone defined the win, but together, they added up to something the Raiders have lacked for years: resilience. The ability to keep fighting, to stack victories inside the game until the other team breaks, and that's why this win feels so special. Because it's not just 1-0 on paper, it's a statement to the rest of the league. The Raiders can go into hostile territory, in terrible weather, against a Bill Belichick defense and come out with a victory. That matters. That means something. It's the kind of win that builds belief, not just in the locker room, but in the fan base. There's still work to be done. The offensive line has to tighten up. The run game can't be that lifeless. The defense can't wait until halftime to wake up. But this was a different kind of Raiders win. For the first time in a long time, it feels like this team is turning a corner, learning how to adjust, learning how to finish, and most importantly, learning how to win ugly. And winning ugly is what separates contenders from pretenders. Raider Nation, enjoy this one. The season is young, but the message has been sent.